I love to rip on the Gospel of Matthew, and I can feel myself wanting to do it again here. How judgy, how churchy. The Gospel of Luke says that the poor and the blind and the lame and all of the outcasts will be invited to the banquet and celebrate forever, and the focus is more. Invite more. There is still room. But flippin' Matthew is too concerned about making sure that we know that there are people who are out. The ones who laughed, the ones who refused, the ones who did not dress properly. They're out, okay? So says Matthew. And I can feel myself wanting to argue with it, to get into the debate, but you've heard me do that before. The bottom line is we already know. We know what the Christian life is about. We know. And it's not about wearing the right robe, or playing a guessing game about what the king wants us to look like, or being the most eloquent explainers and presenters and justifiers of ourselves. The Christian life is not about who can follow the rules most rigorously, say the prayers most devoutly, speak the magic words most mysteriously, accept Jesus the most completely. The Christian life is about, do I love? Am I kind? Do I feel the pain of others, the pain of the world? Am I striving for justice and for peace? Am I moving toward those things in my own life and head and words and actions at the very least? Am I a helper? Am I a servant? Do I give more than I take? Do I give without expectation of reward or benefit? Do I give both in the generosity sense and in the flexible sense? Give when others need me to pick up the slack or to not insist upon my own way? And do I do all of this not because I should or because of my hope of heaven and my fear of hell, but do I do all of this because the love of God is active in me? Because I've allowed it to be? Because I've asked Jesus to come into my heart, truly? I've asked and opened myself up to having the mind of Christ. And I know that what that means isn't that I now have the magic talisman that gets me in, the golden ticket, the right robe that makes me part of the elect. What it means is that I've clothed myself, as it says, with Christ, so that when others see me and hear me, they catch a glimpse of the way that Jesus taught and lived and loved. Is that what my Christian life is about? Because let's be honest, friends, if it's not, if that's not at least what we're striving for, then we're kidding ourselves. We're living out a fantasy. We're playing dress up. We're pretending. I don't pretend that I know better or that I am better at this than anybody else. I don't fully allow the love of God to be active in me. I don't want to. A lot of the time. I'm too scared for that. I'm too suspicious. I'm too rushed, too distracted, too concerned with what others might think or what they expect. I try to love and to be kind and to be a servant and et cetera, but at the end of the day, sometimes it's just enough for me that I didn't hurt anybody or break anything, right? Nothing too important anyway. I am not good at this. And a lot of days you're probably not either. And because we're not good at it, because it's hard to be a servant and difficult sometimes to be kind and easy to forget to take a deep breath and think and feel mentally and emotionally, reach out to connect with the work of the Spirit in the world and then act out of that Spirit connection, because all of that is hard, we sometimes want to do something easier. We want it to be about something easier, like praying the right prayer or believing the right doctrine or having the right set of cultural norms and preferences, the right socio-political values, like disapproving of the right people or the wrong sort of people, like being certain about what's going to happen or what's supposed to happen or what God is going to do, like simply being certain that I'm right and you're not, and you'd better fix yourself before the outer darkness gets you. Like looking down on other people, or believing the worst of them, or becoming convinced that they're your enemies, that they think and feel and act differently than you would, that they don't want to follow the golden rule like you, of course, do, that they're actually out to get you, purposefully trying to hurt you, intentionally planning your downfall. All of this, as exhausting as it sounds, is too often easier for human beings to fall into, to contemplate, to live out of. Easier than connecting with the mind of Christ, the Spirit of God. We know this because we face that choice a lot, and we only sometimes choose rightly. Sometimes we choose wrongly, and sometimes we punt, decide that it's okay that we got through today without hurting anybody as far as we know. We'll try again tomorrow. But friends, we know this. The Christian life is about being a light, a revelation of the very presence of God in the world. The Christian life is about allowing the Spirit of God, the Spirit of love and humility and gentleness and patience and kindness and servanthood and every other blessed thing to shine through us, to be heard in our words and seen in our actions and felt through our commitment to it, our belief in it, our very faith that God is present and is calling us to be these lights, these conduits, these servants. Anything else, trying to make it about anything else, is just pretending. And you know me, you know I don't buy into these texts of judgment, these ideas that there will be those who are cut off forever with the weeping and the gnashing. I don't want to argue with Matthew about it. But there's a word in here that says, look, you can't fake this life. You can't make it about things that it's not. The Gospel of Matthew ends with a story about a reckoning over how the people have lived. Did they connect? Did they care? Were they kind? Did they help? Whenever you did it to the least of these in my family, it says, you did it to me. And that story says that the people didn't know. They didn't know that they were being observed somehow, or that these actions and attitudes counted for anything more than just in that moment. They just did them, some of them, because they were the good and right thing to do, because they felt called by God to do them. And others didn't do them, because they didn't have to, by the standards of the world, because no one was making them, because they had other things on their mind, they were too distracted? The story doesn't say. But it does imply very clearly that they were all people who considered themselves religious, who thought that they were doing the right things. And some of them were. And some of them were making it about things that it's not about. Some of them were pretending. We can play church in here and out there in our lives. We can play religious. We can get all the right marks and go through and say all the right prayers. We can dress ourselves up as those who are righteous, or those who are right, or those who are destined for heaven. But we can also be kind and be generous and be willing to do what's extra and be on the lookout to be friends and to serve and to lift up and to make peace. We are, all of us, invited to the feast. What we do with this life that has been given to us is up to us every day. May the peace of God, which passes all of our understanding, keep your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus our Lord. Amen.